Hello students, welcome to SRIRAM's IAS. Welcome to this PYQ class at 4 p.m. We come every day here at 4 p.m. with different subjects to understand more about and to do in-depth analysis of the previous year questions of UPSC. This helps you to understand the trend of the examination, helps you to understand what kind of questions UPSC is asking every year and how this trend is changing. Also, you understand which part of your preparation has to be highlighted more than the other part. If UPSC is asking from one concept, why that concept is too important and how UPSC is framing the questions around that concept. So let us dive deep into this class and understand the trend of UPSC. So PYQ of Indian polity. Today is Indian polity. First question is here. The Rajya Sabha has equal powers with the Lok Sabha so there are four matters which are given, and it has been asked that the two houses of the parliament, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, the house of the people and the house of the elders, the council of the state, are they equal on all the things which they do, or does Lok Sabha have overarching power over some other in some of the legislation when compared to the Rajya Sabha? So this is the basic question, and there is a basic understanding which you should understand, that the financial matters, the matters related with money, the money bill, there the Lok Sabha has overarching power over Rajya Sabha, or else the power of the elder house, the power of the council of state is equal to that of the Lok Sabha. Also you have to understand one thing, that since India is a parliamentary form of democracy, so there is a responsible government. The executive, the Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers, they all are responsible to the Lok Sabha, to the House of the People. And for that matter, Rajya Sabha is also known as a continuous house. It does not get dissolved. Okay. So now, after understanding the concept, let us see what the answer can be. So Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in which of the following matters? Matters creating all India service. So in this matter, it is the Rajya Sabha who has overarching power. It is the resolution passed by Rajya Sabha which is then taken up by the Lok Sabha. So the initiator is the Rajya Sabha. Without the initiation of Rajya Sabha for forming a new all India service, this resolution cannot take place. So the primary role of Rajya Sabha is seen in this. So there is no equal power of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in this matter. Amending the constitution. Now when it is about the amendment of the constitution, of course the power of Rajya Sabha is equal to that of Lok Sabha. The amendment can be introduced in either house of the parliament by a minister, and one house, when it passes the resolution by a special majority, then the amendment moves to the another house. Also you have to understand that if it changes the federal character of the country, that particular amendment which has been introduced, if it changes the federal character of the country, then it has to be ratified by half of the state assemblies as well. So amendment, this is the option. Amendment power is that power where Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha holds equal sway, where both of them are equal. The removal of the government, as we have seen, Council of Ministers is responsible to Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha have more power here than Rajya Sabha. And making cut motion. The cut motions are usually made in annual financial statement during the passage of the budget. So in all the financial matters, it is the Lok Sabha which has overarching power, more power than Rajya Sabha. So the answer would be B, the amendment of the constitution. There, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha holds same power, similar power. Moving on to question number 2. Consider the following statements. Now this is the question of 2022. This was of 2020. This is 2022. Consider the following statement. Pursuant to the report of H.N. Sanyal Committee, the Contempt of Court Act 1971 was passed. So this act was indeed passed on the recommendation of H.N. Sanyal Committee. This statement is a correct statement. This is a kind of a factual statement which you all should know, that the important provisions of the constitution, such as fundamental duties, It came into the constitution after the recommendation was made by the Swan Singh committee. Similarly, contempt of court is a very important provision of the constitution. One of the reasonable restriction on the freedom of speech and expression is contempt of court. That you are free to speak whatever you want. There is a freedom which has been given to people, to the citizens. Freedom of speech and expression can be of many kinds. Not only speaking or writing, but painting, making a movie, anything you want to do. But shall not involve contempt of court, which is one of the reasonable restriction, with other reasonable restrictions as well. Such as, it should not be obscene, the things have to be moral, morality is one ground, sovereignty and integrity of the country is another ground, public order and its maintenance, that is another ground. There is another reasonable restriction on which your freedom of expression and speech can be curtailed. So, it's an important thing, and H.N. Sanyal committee was the one through which it was introduced. So, coming on to the second statement, the Constitution of India empowers the Supreme Court and the High Court to punish for contempt of themselves. This is true. The Supreme Court can punish for its own contempt and for all the other courts, for the contempt of all the other courts in India. Similarly, High Court can punish for its own contempt and for the contempt of lower judiciary as well. This is a true statement. Constitution of India defines civil contempt and criminal contempt. No. That is the reason why Act has been made to define it. Okay, so this statement is not a correct statement. In India, the parliament is vested with the power to make laws on contempt of court. So the power to make law on contempt of court is given to the parliament. This law has been passed by the parliament, Contempt of Court Act of 1971. So this is a true statement. So we see 1, 2 and 4 are the correct statement, and hence B will become our answer. Moving on to the third one. Which of the following are the exclusive powers of Lok Sabha? Again, another question on Lok Sabha. Exclusive power of Lok Sabha. To ratify the declaration of emergency. So when emergency is imposed, a written recommendation has to be made by the Council of Ministers to the President, and then the emergency can be imposed, but it has to be rectified. If it is an emergency according to Article 352 of the Constitution, which has been imposed on the grounds of war, external aggression and armed rebellion, within 1 month it has to be rectified by the Parliament and both the houses of Parliament. So, Lok Sabha does not hold any special power here. So, this is not the correct statement. To pass a motion of no confidence against the Council of Ministers. Now, as we have already discussed that India being a parliamentary form of democracy, responsible government is a system of government which is followed here. And when I say responsible government, it is the Council of Ministers which is responsible to the House of People, to the Lok Sabha. So, Rajya Sabha is not involved. It's a continuous house. It does not get dissolved. Rajya Sabha is not involved in this, and hence we can say this is the exclusive power of Lok Sabha to pass a no confidence motion. Also censor motion, cut motion, which we have seen. Those are also the exclusive power of Lok Sabha only, especially in the financial matters and matters relating to no confidence. To impeach the President of India. If you see the impeachment under Article 124, it is given that the impeachment has to be done and both the houses of the Parliament has to pass the resolution by special majority. So, again, both the houses. So, this is not the correct option. Only option number 2 is correct, and hence B is the correct option here. I hope you are getting what kind of question UPSC is asking. Until and unless your concepts are cleared, it will be difficult for you to answer. But once your concepts are cleared, you have read about it, you have practiced enough number of questions. At the same time, you have revised and consolidated whatever you have read. Then these kind of questions becomes very easy. You can easily get +2 marks. If these kinds of questions become wrong, then it becomes difficult for us because of the negative marking scheme in the UPSC examination. Moving on to the next question. With reference to the Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, consider the following statement. Now, Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha is an important post. When he is presiding over the house of the parliament, he holds the same kind of power which the speaker have. Okay, and it's a very, very important post. And let's see what is the question which has been asked with reference to the deputy speaker of the Lok Sabha. This is a question which came in 2022. As per the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha, the election of deputy speaker shall be held on such date as the speaker may fix. So this is a true statement. The date of the election of deputy speaker is fixed by the speaker, and the date of the election of the speaker is fixed by the President of India. It is very important for us to understand. So when the previous Lok Sabha is gone, the speaker does not lose his place. He remains there till a new speaker has been elected by the house. Okay, it is actually the pro tem speaker which comes in. So you know the convention, how it happens. There is a mandatory provision that the election of a candidate of deputy speaker of Lok Sabha shall be from either the principal opposition party or the ruling party. So it's not a compulsory thing. There is no mandatory provision here. So this statement is not correct. Okay. So the deputy speaker has same power as the speaker when presiding over the house, and no appeal lies against his ruling, which is very true. This is a correct statement. Well-established parliamentary practice regarding appointment of deputy speaker is that the motion is moved by the speaker and duly seconded by the Prime Minister. So there is no provision of seconding the motion by the Prime Minister in India. So this statement is also not correct. Hence we can say that statement number 4 and statement number 2 are not correct. Only statement 1 and statement number 3 are correct. So I was saying that when the new Lok Sabha is elected, the speaker of the previous Lok Sabha is there, and then the new assembly appoints a pro tem speaker. Now it is the duty of the pro tem speaker to appoint, to elect, to help in election of the speaker of the new Lok Sabha. And the moment the speaker of the new Lok Sabha is elected, the pro tem speaker leaves the chair. And usually the pro tem speaker is the senior most person of the house. This has been the convention in India from a long time, this pro tem speaker thing. It's an important thing. So dates are being fixed. The date of election of the speaker is fixed by the president. The date of the election of the deputy speaker is fixed by the speaker himself. And when does the speaker fixes it? When he gets elected to the post of the speaker. And then the pro tem speaker moves on, a new speaker comes after election. He takes the oath. Usually he takes the oath as the member of the Lok Sabha, and after that he decides on the date on which the deputy speaker has to be elected. So this is how it goes in parliamentary form of government. Moving on to question number 5th. We adopted parliamentary democracy based on British model. Okay, but how does our model differ from that of the British model? This is the question asked in 2021. Very creative question. As regards legislation, the British Parliament is supreme and sovereign, but in India the power of Parliament to legislate is limited. And why it is limited? Because in India Parliament is not considered as a sovereign body. There is a power of judicial review which has been provided to the Supreme Court. Under Article 13, the constitution becomes the supreme law in the country, and the parliament cannot change it arbitrarily or in whichever way it wants, because the court will come in, and wherever there is a contravention to fundamental rights, to the basic structure of the constitution, after the Keshwananda Bharati case, this doctrine of basic structure has also been evolved in India and is continuously evolving. It is the judiciary which jumps in. So parliament has power, but it has limited power. It cannot change the basic structure of the country. It cannot make a law which contravenes the fundamental right or is inconsistent with the fundamental rights. So our parliamentary form of democracy is not like Britain. In Britain, it is the parliament which is sovereign. It is the parliament which is most powerful body. There's no judicial review which is against the decision of the parliament. So this is one important thing which you must understand. So it's a good statement, it's a correct statement that the British Parliament is supreme and sovereign, but in India the power of parliament to legislate is limited. Statement number 2. In India, matters related to the constitutionality of amendment, constitutionality, whether a particular provision of the constitution of a particular law is according to the constitution or not. Is it repugnant to the provision of the constitution? Is it inconsistent with the provision of the constitution? Or is it according to the provision of the constitution? This is something which has to be seen. And who sees that? It is the court. So, matters related to constitutionality of amendment of an act of parliament are referred to the constitution bench by the Supreme Court. So, this reference is given in India, and hence we can say this statement is also true statement. Both of them are true. C is the correct option. Moving on to next question number 6. Along with the budget, the finance minister also places other documents before the parliament, which include the macroeconomic framework statement. Talking about the macroeconomic framework statement, it takes into consideration the deficits and other forms such as balance of payment also, and deficit, especially current account deficit, capital deficit, revenue deficit. There are so many deficits which are there, and it has to be stabilized, it has to be maintained, and there is an act under which provision it is done. They are saying the aforesaid document is presented because this is mandated by, this is made compulsory to be introduced in the house by which of the particular provision of the constitution. So article 112 relates to the annual financial statement. This is the money bill. Article 113 is also different, but it is because of the FRBM Act, which tries to stabilize the finances of the government, that the spending is not too much, the expenditure is not too much, and the deficit which is created between the amount of money which is coming. If a large amount of money which is going and the difference is too much and the difference is negative, that means expenditure is more and earnings are less, receipts are less. At that point in time, government needs to do something. The finance minister has to do something. It is mandatory on the finance minister to present this macroeconomic statement because it has been made mandatory by the fiscal responsibility and budget management. So see the wordings of that act. Responsibility. So you have fiscal responsibility. You cannot come up and just spend the way you want. There has to be some kind of responsibility in expenditure of the government, and there shall not be deficit, and deficit which is mindless, which cannot be explained. So this is important for you to understand that it is under the FRBM Act, the macroeconomic framework statement becomes mandatory to be presented in the House of the People by the finance minister. So D is the correct option here. Moving on to question number 7. According to the Constitution of India, a person who is eligible to vote can be made a minister in a state for 6 months, even if she is not the member of the legislature of that assembly. So the eligibility to become the member of legislative assembly is given. The person has to be the citizen of India. The person has to be of the age above 25 years. These are the basic eligibility criteria which are given. There is no eligibility criteria given for a minister. Anybody can become a minister. And the person should become the member of that particular legislative assembly within 6 months. Now that is what is given. But per se there is no eligibility criteria which has been provided for a minister in the constitution. Okay. So we cannot mark this statement as a correct statement, and we are going to mark it a wrong statement. A person who is eligible to vote can be made a minister. There is no eligibility as such which is maintained in the constitution for ministers. Eligibility to become a member of parliament, the member of Lok Sabha or the member of Rajya Sabha is given. Eligibility to become member of state legislative assemblies are given. But to become eligibility for a minister, now that's not there. Moving on to the second statement. According to the Representation of the People Act 1951, a person convicted of a criminal offence and sentenced to imprisonment for at least 5 years is permanently disqualified from contesting an election even after his release from prison. So this is not 5 years, this is 2 years, more than 2 years. So if a person who is a member of parliament goes to a jail and is convicted for more than 2 years, he becomes disqualified. He does not remain into that position when he is in jail. And after that, for 6 more years, after he completes his term of 2 years, he is disqualified for 6 more years. He cannot fight elections. Okay, so this is not 5 years. A person convicted of a criminal offence sentenced to imprisonment for at least 2 years or more than that is permanently disqualified from contesting an election even after his release. So it's not permanent disqualification, it is for 6 years after his release. So both of them are not correct. So we will go with D as our option. Okay. With reference to the funds under the Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme, MP-led scheme, commonly called as MP-led scheme. This is a question of 2020. Which of the following statements are correct? So MP-led funds must be used to create durable assets like physical infrastructure, health and education. This is true. That's the reason why it has been provided. That is one way of capital formation in the society. Just distributing freebies is no kind of development. The development happens when real capital infrastructure is created, and that is what physical infrastructure is all about: health, education. Okay. A specified portion of MP's fund must benefit SC and ST. Yeah, around 15% and 7.5% respectively goes to these particular communities for the development of these communities. So this is a correct statement. MP-led fund are sanctioned on yearly basis. Now this is a wrong statement. It is not sanctioned on yearly basis. A natural term for a member of parliament or member of legislative assembly is 5 years. Okay, and this fund which is relating to the member of parliament is given total amount of fund which is given is 5 crore, and this 5 crore fund is given in 2 installments. Okay, so 2.5 plus 2.5. It is not on yearly basis. This is 2.5 crore and 2.5 crore. It is given in 2 installments. And unused funds cannot be carried forward. They can be. It's a non-lapsable fund, can be carried forward. Yes. So this is not the correct statement. This is a wrong statement. 1 and 2 are correct. Third one is wrong. Moving on to the fourth one. The district authority must inspect at least 10% of all works under the implementation every year. This is also true. It is the district authority which should see what kind of works are happening and inspect those works. So 1, 2 and 4. D is the correct option. Moving on to the next question. This is a question of 2020 again. The President of India can summon a session of Parliament at such place as he thinks fit. Very true. Nowhere it is written that it has to be done in the central hall of the Parliament. No, not necessarily. As he thinks fit. He can call them to the President House also and summon a session. President of India can summon a session of Parliament at such place as he thinks fit. The Constitution of India provides for 3 sessions of Parliament in a year, but it is not mandatory to conduct all 3 sessions. Now, Constitution does not provide for any sessions, 2 or 3 or nothing. It just says that a 6-month gap must be maintained, or shall not more than 6 months of gap has to be there between 2 sessions of Parliament. For example, if a session of Parliament is running, let's say in January, so within 6 months, not more than 6 months, the next session has to be convened. So not more than 6 months is the time between 2 sessions of Parliament. It can happen within 3 months also, 4 months also, 5 months also, but shall not be delayed beyond 6 months. This is important to understand. That is only what is written in the Constitution. It does not provide for number of sessions and how many sessions are there. And we do have monsoon session, budget session, winter session, but that's not written in the Constitution. It only says that the two sessions of the parliament, the maximum gap between those two sessions can only be 6 months, not more than that. So this is not the correct statement. There is no minimum number of days that the parliament is required to meet in a year. This is also true statement. Okay. So 1 and 3 are correct. C is the option here. Question number 10. The Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act of 1959 exempts several posts from disqualification on the ground of office of profit. So for office of profit, refer to this particular act. Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act 1959, and one of the ground of disqualification is office of profit. Office of profit simply means that person is getting some financial aid or some financial benefit, some remuneration, or just because of the nature of the post that person is holding, he is getting benefited because of that. That is what is office of profit. And for a member of parliament, that becomes the ground for disqualification. Okay. So a member of parliament must not hold any office of profit. Of course, there are few people who are exempted. Okay. The above mentioned act was amended 5 times. Yes, it was amended several times in 1960s also. Latest was 2006 also. So it has been amended for about 5 times. The term office of profit is well defined in the constitution. Things are not well defined in the constitution. Usually the questions and the statements are framed in this way that it looks very compelling. It seems as if it is a correct statement. For example, anti-defection, is it mentioned in the constitution or not? Similarly, office of profit, is it mentioned in the constitution or not? So one thing is whether it is mentioned or not. Another thing is it well defined or not? Okay, so office of profit is not well defined in the constitution. And that is the reason we have another, statutes for these. So this is not a correct statement, and hence we can say 1 and 2 are the only correct options. Last question, 11th one. With reference to the Legislative Assembly of a state in India, consider the following statement. So this is asking about the Legislative Assembly. Governor makes a customary address to member of the House at the commencement of the first session of the year. It happens in Parliament also when the President comes up and makes that speech, and then there is a discussion on that speech. Usually it comprises of all the things which the government is going to do, the plans of the government, what government is going to follow. When state legislature does not have a rule on a particular matter, it follows the Lok Sabha rule on that matter. No, this is not correct. What is written usually is that if, first thing, the state legislature has all the power to make rules for itself. It does not follow the rules of Lok Sabha. It has its own power to make rules. Okay. If it does not have any rule, then the rules which were followed by the provincial assemblies before independence or before the commencement of the constitution, rules of that assembly is followed. If let's say it is the state legislature of Uttar Pradesh, then the provincial central legislature, the provincial assembly which was there before the commencement of the constitution, some rules must be there for that assembly, for the central province. Those rules are to be followed. Or United Province, central province would be Madhya Pradesh, United Province. So the rules of the United Provinces would be followed in the present day Uttar Pradesh if the Uttar Pradesh assembly does not have any rules of procedure. So this is how it is done. Now those rules have to be checked factually and should be made according to the Constitution of India by the Speaker. Okay. This is the whole fact here. So this option is not a correct option and only 1 is the correct option. So thank you very much for joining me here, and next time we will meet with another subject tomorrow, and we will have these discussions which are very important discussion as far as our preparation for UPSC goes. Thank you very much for watching this series. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.